Hey everybody, I'm Nate Savage. This is Savage 5050. I'm here with my man Yohannes from Afic Network, fellow YouTuber. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing? I'm good.
I'm fine. Thanks for joining me today.
Of course, of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey man, I see your YouTube channel been growing, man. How long you been on YouTube?
Yeah. So I've been on YouTube about I would say like five and a half years. And so, like I was telling you earlier, before when I first started, I just started to upload a little bit and not really taking it seriously, more
Mhm.
so just like trying to put a message out there. But then it started to grow. And when it started to grow, I just take it a little bit more serious, especially when I just got over my certain threshold that I just got over. I've been trying to step it up a little bit more.
Right. And what do you talk about on your YouTube channel? What is it about?
So my YouTube channel is it's a cultural channel, right? It's like a people of African descent cultural channel. It's for everybody, of course, it's for people of African descent, but it's for everybody. But I also talk about like history. I try
Mhm.
foods. I go to festivals. So I'm trying to encompass the whole culture in one channel.
Okay. Yeah, it been growing. And I discovered you, I would say like 5 years ago. I was doing research, learning about, I was doing listening to like a lot of Dr. Umar at the time, and he
Mm.
always used to bring up Marcus Garvey. And then I did research on Marcus Garvey, typed them up on YouTube. You literally probably was like the first or second video with
Yeah.
a whole and a brief summary. You did a good job breaking down who Marcus Garvey actually was. And
Thank
that's where I discovered you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how you grow and you elevate because now I think I could do it way better. But it was good for when I did it, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I like Marcus Garvey. I always try to take like ideologies from people that I like, and then the ideologies that I don't necessarily agree with or I don't like, I try to understand why they would say something like that, even if I disagree.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about Marcus Garvey in a second, but first, where do you stand spiritually? Do you believe in God?
Yeah, I believe in God. Some people call him Allah, some people call him God, the Most High, whatever you want to call it, Krishna. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Amen, Amun, whatever it is. To me, it's all a higher being or a higher power.
Are you a Christian?
Not necessarily, not, not necessarily. I mean, um, the whole religion thing, that's an interesting thing because when you go far deep into religion, it's like, for instance, like when people say they're a Muslim, if you do certain things, like regardless if you think you're a Muslim or not, you're doing Muslim things, so you're technically a Muslim. So I would say I encompass all religions in one. You know what I'm saying? That's sort of kind of how I see it.
But you stay away from like you're not agnostic or atheist or anything like that, right?
Nah, not at all, really. I mean, it's a possibility. I would never rule it out, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But no, I'm not. I mean, I do believe that there's higher powers or a higher power. It could be multiple, one.
Um, is Christianity the white man's religion?
That's interesting. I don't think that anything that comes into this world is usually like a European thing. A lot of Europeans got it from every other culture. So I wouldn't say that religion is a European thing, but I think the time period and the way that they used it, maybe at one point it could be considered that way, but not at the root of it. No, I mean, there's very few things that Europeans actually created that was first, and that's just history.
It's portrayed as Jesus to be some kind of white man. And, when you actually read the Bible, it describes him to be a brother.
Yeah. So it's funny because we always have these conversations. I think deeper because I think people cut up melanated people by culture. So it's like, yo, this person's Indian or this person is like, African or this person's Asian or whatever. But for me, I go off of melanin because you got to understand throughout history, all these terms didn't even exist. So there could have been a
Mhm.
time where it was like, okay, it's very tribal. Like, yeah, you could look just like me or 100% different. And it's a possibility that you could be in the same tribe, right? Even if you came from like different parts of the world. But as time went along, humans always dissect stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I said all that to say this is that uh, if you look at the text and look at the reading and, like it says, like it's been a while, but woolly hair, brass skin, all that kind of stuff. Look, one thing for sure we can know is that it's not a European, or at least like what we think of a European.
I,
So
I think Jesus looked like you.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. You're a good brother. You know why? Because my because my cousin always gets called Black Jesus. No one ever called me that. So you know what? Maybe like, but nah. But like, yeah. If you read a text and it clearly states something, and then you want to paint it into something else, you do have a control issue. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, or like you want to be first, but you're not. Like, you know that painting of this European man with blonde hair, blue eyes, we know that that's not what it is. We know people, I forget what it was, but there was an artist or somebody in Europe that came up with that picture. And yeah, it's got spread to the world, and it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. Even when you read your own text, if you do believe in the Bible, you read your own text and it doesn't even say it, but then on some people's wall, you'll still have this European man with blonde hair, blue eyes. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
I've read The Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Really great book. Everybody should check it out. And I agree with what he said. Every man's God should look like them. So if you're Asian, your God should look like you. And if you're Black, your God should look like you. And if you're European, your God should be European.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny you said that, because I always bring this up when I talk to people, is that that's one of the ways that you got colonized. Because if I saw me and you, we looked at each other every day, and everybody around us didn't look the same, but looked similar to, within boundaries, right? Like the most extreme over here, whatever the least extreme. There's still some sense of how somebody looks and how our culture looks and how our people look. And just like when you go to India, all the gods used to be, well, most of the gods used to be pitch black, right? Like even Krishna and all them. And then over time, when Europeans came, and there was actually instances of Europeans that literally whitewashed walls. I mean, literally saw black gods, brown gods, and they were like, nope, we can't have that. And they literally whitewashed the wall. Over time they even Buddha was not as light as what he is now. You know what I'm saying? It's really crazy, but you're right. Like, I tell people all the time, if it was just me and you and I see me every day, why would I make my God look like something else other than me? It's almost like if you go back to Ethiopian art, why does Ethiopian art look like traditional Orthodox look like Ethiopians? Because that's who they saw all the time,
It's so watered down that they actually took the noses off of a lot of statues in Mommy Africa.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I always talk about the Sphinx. Of course, that's probably the most famous one, but other statues in just other places. And I think when you reach such a high monument in civilization and culture, it's hard to believe that you didn't know that something existed. And then once you found out it existed, the same people that you thought was beneath you are actually the ones that created it. That could really hurt you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wouldn't hurt me enough to go lie about things, but some people would,
So do you pit race before you pick God? Which one is more important, your race or God?
That's a good question. I think that they should be intertwined. I don't think that, like, I know a lot of people where they put God before race, and I know a lot of people, and I can understand that, because like there is going to be a life after this life, whatever it is, the transfer of your energy, wherever you believe you're going or whatever. But at the end of the day, I feel like they're intertwined, because you have beliefs, whatever your faith is. Faith is a set of things that you do religiously and something that you believe in religiously. So it's like you have faith in whether it's your creator, whether it's your family, whatever it is. And I think those things should intertwine. Everybody doesn't think that, though. Some people put God over a race, and then some people put race over God. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're intertwined. I don't even think they can be pulled from each other, to be honest with
you. Okay. And you live in Ohio, am I right?
Yes, sir. You know what it is?
You born and raised?
Not born, but yeah, raised in Ohio.
Okay. Where was you born at?
I was born in Seattle, well, outside of Seattle.
Okay. So so I see you on YouTube and Instagram, man, you be trying all kinds of different cultural food from all over the place. Like, what's going on with that, man?
You know what? I love food. It's funny because I wish that I have my YouTube channel.
You're not fat though, man. You're not a fat
I know.
guy.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? You gotta yo, nah, I agree. It's funny because I actually was doing photography and videography before I even had a YouTube channel. And I was traveling so many places, you wouldn't even believe it. I was going to Bahamas, I was going to like Africa. Like, I went to so many places when I didn't have a YouTube channel. I wasn't recording. But I said all that to say this is that I've always been open to trying different foods because that's sort of kind of how I was raised, to not be closed-minded about different foods. But also, if you don't know something, go experience it. And I think the not knowing of how things are going to taste, how things are going to, be cooked, that to me is exciting. You know,
You ate some really good food. You said you traveled out to Africa before, right? What country?
Nigeria.
Okay. What was that like?
It was dope. Lagos is like a big Lagos is like a huge city. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't really realize how big Lagos is. And unfortunately, Nigeria is starting to feel more westernized. So when you go to some parts of Africa, it feels a little bit more Eastern, right? Like Eastern style of lifestyle. But then when you go to like Nigeria, it feels very like Western in Lagos, and very, everybody's about their money and everybody's hustle and bustle, and a lot of people, like, they care but they also don't. It is still Africa, so people care but they also don't care. So it's just sort of kind of like, it's an interesting dynamic. It's mad fast paced, and it's the New York City of Africa. I would say. Of course, there's other big cities too in Africa like that, but if I'm correct, Nigeria is the biggest.
The
I mean,
women are
Lagos.
beautiful out in Nigeria.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, it's you don't even understand. Like, there's some beautiful women. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful women.
Okay, let's get into the tough questions.
Hmm.
What is Black culture?
That's a deep question, right? Because even the term Black didn't exist until, let's say that the term, or let's say the word Black maybe existed in different cultures, right? Like in Spanish language, like negro and all this kind of stuff, right? But to me, Black culture personally, like, okay, some people would say it's just African American culture. That's what some people would say, right? But to me, Black culture is the whole world, and especially people of African descent, because regardless of what you label somebody, at the end of the day, people are going to classify you into something. So you could sit up here and say, oh, I'm not part of this group, I'm not part of that group, but another group of humans are going to be like, you know what, you sort of look like these people, you have tendencies of these people, you do things like these people, you're going to be in that group, even if you don't want to be. You know what I'm saying? So to me personally, I can understand the difference between somebody being like, I'm not Black, because they actually know their tribe. And they're not even, sometimes people are not even saying it like, no, I'm not African, or I'm not like you. They're just like, nah, I know my tribe. I feel like the term Black is beneath me, right? Which in all reality, a lot of us should feel like the term Black is really beneath us. And I mean, if you really think about it, because Black wasn't something that we identify with for centuries and centuries and thousands of years, right? Like that's so but with the whole world in mind, and with social media, and this term has like caught on fire with the whole world, like, to me, Black culture encompasses the whole group of people, not just in America. There's different types of Black cultures, but that's just to me. Some people would disagree. Some people would say that it's just African Americans or Nigerians have this and have that, but I don't see it that way.
Was our culture stolen from us?
I think that there were some parts of our cultures that were stolen from us. I don't think all of our culture was stolen from us. I think, like, when it comes to music and rhythm and a sense of like things that we do culturally, I don't think that all those were stolen from us. But when it comes to like language, and when it comes to maybe the rules and boundaries of a community overall as a whole, and the hierarchies, yeah, I think that was somewhat stripped from us.
Right. Now, here's my thing. I believe that we come from African descent.
Mm.
However, I don't like the fact that the way history is portrayed is this was like a so-called native Indian country.
Right.
Facts point that there have been people with African descent, people that look like me and you, that was here even before the white man came and so-called colonized the country.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, let's even look at it like this. Like, that this is the dicey part, right? Because in America, they don't teach you anything. Like, they don't teach you really anything when it comes to history. Let's be real here. I mean, they'll teach you their history, but they won't teach you about any other culture's history, not even your own history.
And that's the problem. And that creates so much of the division. I think it would be less angry people if we was taught the full context of world history, but we're not.
Yeah, we're not. And it's crazy because if you think about it, this is how self-centered and how much the curriculums in America need to change from 300-400 years ago when, you know, the forefathers of whatever these Europeans started to like indoctrinate this stuff into schools, right? Because they just carry that along every generation. It never changes. You always learn about Napoleon or the presidents the first presidents of America and all this kind of stuff like that. But I agree with you because if people don't understand time periods in America, like if you say anything past like to a common person, if you say anything past like their lifetime or 100 years, it's black inside. Like if you told them like, hey, think about America or, you know, like this landmass maybe 1,000 years ago, what's going to pop in their head? It's going to probably be black. They in America, they won't even know. Like it's too far back. They're like, hold on, what? Like I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. This is not the first time, just because like I said, it's the standards. Europeans say, okay, we found this piece of land, this is what we knew. But even when you're talking about other Europeans outside of the English and the Spanish and the French, the Vikings had came to America a long time way before that. Africans have came to America way longer before that. And there's been so many people that have come to all these different land masses. Now, me personally, I don't take away from like native Tahoes or native, you know, Seminoles or anything. Like, yo, you have your place, you exist, like you're here too, you were in America too. But also there were people that were here 40,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, 60,000 years ago. So yeah, I get it. That's why I say that I personally claim the whole world, but just Africa is just the home base because that's the biggest population of people that will agree with you to some extent, you know what I mean, and look like
a lot of black people, they just believe that Africa was our homeland and that's it. Even scientifically, it's been proven, like there's no continent on this earth you could go where you can't find proof of African descent there years and years and years back. And even it's portrayed like when you think of pirates, right? You think of these European people with one eye or whatever. And it's like African people, African descent actually was some of the first pirates who traveled all around the world.
Well, I agree. People of African descent, and I'm glad you said it because there's no okay, whatever. There's a theory of okay, everybody or every piece of land was connected Pangea and then it broke apart, right? Which is very logical. I'm not saying that whoever like European cat, that's a very logical conclusion. Let's say it happened that way, or let's just say the lands were always broken apart, right? Whichever way, it doesn't matter. Like man created both, right? So it doesn't matter. But with all that being said, when you think about it and you're like, okay, every person that is a melanated person is found in all these different lands, in ancient bones or ancient like carvings or whatever it is. And a lot of times these people are still there. Like I'm about to do an interview with a lady and her husband from Papua New Guinea. I call it Papua New Guinea, but I think they call it Papua or Papua. And I'm about to do an interview with them. And it's just like I agree with you. I think that we need to be more of a worldly people. We need to think worldly and not just America or not just Africa or not just the Caribbeans or not just Asia. Like we have to be this worldly people. I think that's our problem as African people around the world in general, is that we're not thinking worldly anymore. We're just thinking about where we're at, you know?
Right. And okay. So here's the thing. Should Black people today still be angry in America about slavery?
Of course they should. Why wouldn't you be? I mean, this is the craziest thing, is that just because you're mad about an event that happened, right? And then some Black people will say that these events didn't happen, it's a hoax. I don't believe that. It's like, yo, there's too many accounts around the world. You knew people that went through it. You have grandparents that went through it. Like some people, depending on how old you are, that are still alive. Well, I think the last supposedly slave died like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But what I'm saying is that the people actually went through it, that were existing, that wrote so many things. So saying that, nah, like slavery didn't exist, that to me is just bonkers to me. There's too many occasions. There's too many accounts. Like you're like, oh, well, show the receipts. And it's like, there's thousands of receipts. You know what I'm saying? Like
who are the people that say slavery don't exist or never exist?
There's some Black people, you know what I'm saying? The same people that's just like, oh, we were always here. I'm like, I'm not arguing that we weren't always here. I'm just saying that if you're going to excuse this huge event that happened for 500 something years, or well, 400, really, whatever, depending on what part of the world, but 400 something years, and you're going to say that they didn't exist when you have so many people. That would be one of the biggest conspiracies in the world. And if it's a possibility.
And you care, and you said you care about world history, what happened around the globe, right?
Yeah.
So should white people be angry with black people since we basically conquered them and colonized them and had more African slaves in Northern Africa than they actually had African descent slaves here in America?
Well, maybe that would be the question of why they even got back at us and did what they did, right? Because they're trying to get back at us for what we did to them first. But they I don't think they will ever give melanated people that credit, because that would show the world that you got conquered first and then now you are reconquering something. See, if you lose first and you lose at a grand scheme and then you come back and be like, I'm mad at you, I'm gonna get revenge on you, it's not as sweet as if you just did it from the beginning. Because the way that they say it is that they've always been civilized. They act like they never had different clans and they didn't have the dark ages and all this kind of other stuff.
Black people are African descent people. We the ones that started slavery. We are the original kings and queens of slavery. We love to glorify Mansa Musa and people like that who had plenty of African slaves throughout the world. And it's portrayed that only the white man is so evil. The white man did this, the white man did that, but mankind actually did it, of all races.
Of course. No. And I think that when you're talking about specific events, yeah, you can blame another group. Because a lot of black people that are going to blame that group, they're just specifically talking about slavery. They know nothing about Mansa Musa. They know nothing about before or after. All they know is slavery, right? In America or in Brazil or in Jamaica or wherever. But you're right. But here's the problem. The problem is that if Europeans did it, and they have done it, and if no one wants to talk about Eastern Europe right now, because there's still countries in Eastern Europe that are worse than some countries in Africa. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to violence, poverty, instability of government. But it seems like when they do it, it's okay. But then when we do it, it's like they're savages. They have different tribes. They can never get along. Blase this, blase that. So, like you said, I want equality. This is a human thing. It's not that Africans just did it. It's not that just Asians did it. It's not that just Europeans did it. Everyone did it. You know what I'm saying? And also the way that things were viewed, because let's be real here, human power, manpower, still to this day is the most powerful, or I guess the most powerful resource that people want to control. So it could be argued that in modern day, it's still slavery. White people are still putting people in slavery from a corporation level. Because if you have this huge corporation and they're getting paid billions of dollars at the top, and then you have all these, I'm from Ohio, so you have all these, I'm in the Rust Belt, right? So we have all these factories, and then people are going there making $14 an hour or $12 an hour, $17 an hour, and they're slaving their whole life. Is that not a slave too? Like slavery will never stop.
White people fall into that system too, where they work for minimum wage, sweating for low dollars as well. So it's not just an attack on African people. Is capitalism. Capitalism create freedom. Anywhere in society that's socialism and communism, nobody's rushing to them countries to live. Everybody want to live in a capitalist society like America.
Yeah, but I don't think that that could actually be argued, you know what I'm saying, through our history as far as capitalism and socialism and all that kind of stuff like that. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that, but I also don't think that capitalism is like, America shouldn't get credit for capitalism. Capitalism is an age-old concept. It's not something that America created, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a possibility. There's different type of capitalism. There's different type of socialism. I mean, socialism. There's different type of just different government, economics, and how a government runs their economics in their country, you know what I'm saying? And their power and leadership,
Is America a racist country?
That's interesting. That's a good question. I never really thought about that for real. I think individuals in America are. Do I think America as a whole is a racist country? You know what? I don't think no country can really be racist. I think it's the people in power and their thought process on things that make somebody racist, or like a country racist. Because I think if America was ran by other people, it might not be. I mean, it might be, but it might not be,
Can Black people be racist?
Yeah, of course we can. Of course we can. You know what I'm saying? Of course we can. But, I don't think that that's the narrative right now. And everybody's trying to cater to Black people, especially in America, you know what I'm saying, on commercials and everything like that. But yeah, we can. But do I think that it's like an intentional thing that most Black people do? No.
So you don't agree with the argument when they say Black people can't be racist because we don't control the system?
Well, in that aspect, there are some senses of it where I'm like, yeah, you're right. You can't be racist. Like, how can you be racist if you can't control something? How can you be in power if you don't control the power? You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you're not the person that puts out the media, you're not the person that puts out the agenda to the masses. So in that aspect, yeah, it's like 50-50. Like, yeah, I halfway agree, obviously I halfway don't, but yeah, I more so agree. Because if you don't control something, then how the hell are you going to be the one that pushes it to the world?
This is getting deep. Do you think that, well, I think this, the media controls Black culture.
Mm.
What do you think about, is it any truth to that, that the media actually controls Black culture?
Yeah, I think that it does for a lot of that's a great one. That's a great question. I think that it does to a certain extent. I think there's always going to be that raw culture where it's
Mhm.
just like the media doesn't even know it exists yet. You know, when it's first a brand new baby, it's born somewhere, you know, like in Brooklyn or LA or in Ohio or wherever it's at. But yeah, I think that the way that they steer it and the way that they improvise and they make money capitalize off of our our current culture in America, it sucks because it's sort of like they steer the ship even more to the left. It's like, okay, we were already sort of kind of going to the left, and you know, me and you over here trying to make it straight again. There's rocks over there, and they're like, let's make more money. Let's just go ahead and spin that all the way over this way. You know what I'm saying? So,
But
yeah, I
we
think
we we fall, we go right along with their game, the with the Democratic game, far left media, and you know, and I know it ain't all Black people, but Black people, we got a problem. We're messed up. Look at this. The media will hype up Karen. Oh, Karen got into a dispute with a Black man at the playground. Oh, this is a big deal. Everybody's sharing it on their social media. Black people typing up like, oh yeah, America's racist. America's racist. Look at Karen. This is proof. America because of Karen. But Pookie act, was shooting at Ray Ray and then shot a little girl in the head. Oh, we don't care. Well, you know, it's sad, but local news. But we care. We don't care about Pookie and Ray Ray. That's actually destroying the Black community. We care about Karen at the dog park. What's wrong with Black people?
well, you know, that's a there's a lot of answers to that question, but I don't think it's that simple. I think you get desensitized from, okay, look, everybody's gonna kill each other if they live around them. That's just what it is. Italians kill Italians, Black people kill Black people. I know you've heard this before, but it's the truth. Look at the stats. So with that being said, this becomes so for me even. I didn't grow up in the burbs or anything like that. I'm a city kid. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of instances that I've seen of people doing bad things. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get killed. I've seen all kind of stuff, like stuff that I wish I wouldn't have seen. But what I will say is that just because Pookie kills Ray Ray don't mean that it's any better or it's any less important than when Karen does something too. But also, how can you win a battle when you have your own people fighting against you and then you have another group of people fighting against you too? There's some places where that just doesn't happen.
I,
Like
I,
most
I would
Japanese
have to.
people, most Japanese people are not fighting against other Japanese people and then have to worry about the world also fighting against them too. It's not that doesn't happen. So I think our situation is a little bit more unique and a little bit more it needs a little bit more delicate care than just comparing it and just being like, well, nah, we're not we kill each other. Yo, like, and what does that mean? That means nothing.
Do you think Karen is a threat to Black people?
Anybody that thinks anything differently or thinks the way that somebody looks or feels that because somebody's doing something irritates them so much in their soul that they have to wild out, I think that's anybody, not just Karen, anybody. But do I think that there's Europeans in this country that feel like they're losing the country? Yeah, like they don't want to lose the country. Would you want to lose your country? You know what I'm saying? So
Do you think Karen is a bigger threat than Pookie?
they both the same. They both the same. Yeah, they both the same. You know what I'm saying? They both the same. I mean, and not that I'm saying it's bad or it's good. I'm just saying that I don't understand this utopia people think we're going to live in because even if you have your own country, there's still going to be Pookie and Ray Ray killing each other. It's going to be, I mean, but I'm not looking down on Black people because they kill each other. Like I'm just not because it's going to happen either way. Like if you had your own country, people still kill people. It is what it is.
Do America create great opportunities for African Americans or African descent people, rather? Or is this a good country for African descent people to live?
You know what? That's a great question. I wouldn't even say, if we're saying America as far as like everybody contributing into America, including Black people that
Mhm.
actually like help build this country, you know what I'm saying? We always forget about that. I personally feel like there's a lot of things that are, yeah, we deserve. Like we deserve to have, because we're the ones that actually physically built this country, like in a grand scheme. So, you know, I think that it can be a good country in some senses, but in other senses it's not. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like the security that a Japanese person has when they walk around Japan as far as culturally, and knowing
Mhm.
that most people won't attack them just because they're Japanese in some areas. Yeah, we don't have that. So in that sense, nah, like you're not going to be running it like you're back in Ghana or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to feel comfortable like you're walking through Jamaica, seeing like other people that look like you. But when it comes to a money standpoint, of course, like any rich country, not just America, because America is not the only rich country in this world, but just like any rich country, economically, yeah, it could do great things for your life if that's what you're into, if you really care about materialistic stuff that much.
What does the national anthem mean to you?
Hmm. It doesn't mean what it means to them. I'll leave it at that.
What does the Black national anthem mean to you? You heard that song, "Lift Every Voice." That's what they gave us.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm more in tune with the actual flag than I am with the actual words in the national anthem. I think I've only heard it one time in my life, maybe. But I don't know, man. I'm a different type of guy. I mean, it means something, but it also is like, I don't even know how to even answer that for real. It means something. It does mean something. Like having your own thing to me means something, whatever that is. But having your own thing is very important. Probably didn't answer your question, but I don't, some things I don't know how to. I'm a very like balanced person, so I'm sort of like I care, but I sort of don't care.
Juneteenth recently became a national holiday. What do you think about that situation?
Hmm. Um, that's an interesting one, because if you make something a national holiday, there's going to be a group of Black people that's going to be like, "Yo, they did it on purpose. They did it because they want this to happen. This is not."
It's
And but
pandering, they would call it, right?
I'm sorry.
Pandering to Black folks.
Yeah, pandering to Black people, which I'm pretty sure they are. But on the flip, and I'm not even making fun of those people. Like, you're onto something. But also on the flip side, if they don't do it, then you have the group of people that's going to be like, yo, like they never give us anything. They won't make it a national holiday. Me personally, I don't feel like I have to be acknowledged by any other group, whether it's official or it's not, to feel empowered by something. But everybody's not like that.
What comes to your mind when you think about, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black?
Yeah, that's a big rhetoric. I mean, look, don't even get me started on politics, man. Like it's a big loophole, you know what I'm saying? But from the surface level, and not really what's going on in the background, but from the surface level, I would say us as Black people in America, like we really need to wake up when it comes to the pandering of politicians, for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I even went so far to be like, yo, we need our own party. And I was saying this 10 years ago, like we need our own party.
Well, Kanye West started the birthday party.
I know, so I know, I know.
So I'm assuming you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican, you're not a conservative, you're not a liberal. Am I right?
Yeah. I don't even, those terms to me are just like whatever.
Based off of what you know, which one is better, conservatism or liberalism?
Neither. Neither. I think that the problem is when you go too far on one side or the other side, like what society has one ever won? Okay, maybe one has won, right? Like, I mean, I guess every 4 years, like, okay, mad conservative, liberal, or like closer in. But to me, it has to be a balance. Isn't that what supposed to be our judicial system is supposed to be about? I know I'm not saying that all the judges are fair, but what I'm trying to say is that from that aspect, a judge is supposed to listen to all the evidence, what's more logical or what's not, what is the consensus from the huge population, and then make a decision, right? Like, I would try to make a logical, even if a lot of people hate it or even if a lot of people love it. And I think that's the problem when it comes to politics. It's like, oh, we're all the way over here, we're all the way over there. And I'm like, yo, like, excuse me, guys, exclude me, because I'm in the middle. Some things I'm conservative about, some things I'm liberal about, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think that the Bible provide a good foundation for someone to live their life?
Yeah, of course, of course. I think most
Do you,
religious
one
books
more,
do.
do you think the Bible leans more conservatism or more liberalism when it comes to the Bible?
Oh, conservative, probably. I mean, I would say.
So wouldn't you agree that conservatism is much better than liberalism?
Uh, I guess there's an argument to be made there that you could say that, but depending on what time period it is, some people would say that what it was conservative then might possibly at some point in human history might turn liberal.
Which party do you think to depend on them more? Do you think the Democratic Party push for independency or dependency versus the Republican Party? Do you feel they push more for dependency or independency?
Well, of course, from my knowledge, Republicans are always about do for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, Democrats, not all, but most Democrats are more so on the side of like, we need to help everybody. I'm not saying I'm either one of them. But I think it's both. I think people should do for themselves, but I also think when you have a huge population, you should help the population of your country. I don't see what's wrong with helping the population of your country. Of course, like some people would say that some people would get lazy off that, but let's be real here. Like everybody ain't going to be a hard worker. Everybody ain't going to be the president. Everybody ain't going to be a doctor. Like that's the
Well,
reality of it.
well, the Democratic Party created the welfare state,
Mm.
which basically destroyed the Black community. We was better off as Black folks before the so-called when it comes to family structure, family values, before the civil rights movement, before the welfare system kicked in, before the child support system kicked in.
Yeah. Like I said before, I don't think that there's a magic side. I don't think it's conservative or liberal because there were still other things in the government that the government would help certain people out with, right? Even if it wasn't like everybody was depending on the government for child support, whatever, were still government assisted programs that existed even before that, right? So I think there's a fine line between helping people and then letting them do what they need to do to progress as an individual or their family. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great argument to be made. Like that did
Do,
mess up our
do you
community.
think the civil rights movement destroyed the Black family?
Hmm. I think that was sort of kind of the nail in the coffin in some aspects, but I don't think that was the first thing. I think it was already starting a long time ago, unfortunately.
Before civil rights, Black people was getting married and sticking together on an 80% level. Now it's the complete opposite, where 75% of Black children are born out of wedlock.
Mm.
Where did the civil rights movement go wrong? I think Martin Luther King had a good dream, a good strategy, but I think it got messed up with LBJ and the race hustlers who sold the Black community out, the Jesse Jacksons and Al Sharptons.
Mm. Um, that's a great question, actually. That's a great question. You know what? This is what we was talking about earlier about how I feel about organizations. I'm not saying I hate organizations because I think they're a great thing, but also there's always so many moving parts in all organizations that you just never know what's doing what, who's doing who, you know what I'm saying, whatever it might be. Um, to be quite frank with you, like I said, I think that's one of the things that did mess up our community, but I don't think it's the only thing because I can't say for sure that just because that happened, that modern day society in America wouldn't be the exact same thing. Because it's not just that's a event that happened, but there's still 5 other events maybe that contributed to that as well. That's just not the civil rights movement. I mean, I think it's a combination of things. It could have still turned out the same way, unfortunately.
I believe that the media hyped up a lot of things that was going on during that time period. When you look back at history, especially when I talk to older people, like Black people and white people that's 70 years old plus, I would say people that's 65, 70 years old. When I talk to them people, they actually explain it like, no, like, yeah, there was colored only water fountains and stuff like that. However, a lot of people say that race really wasn't that big of a deal, even though there was labels on certain stuff. Like people didn't mind going to school with just black kids because black people had their own schools, you know, black people had their own businesses and all of that stuff before we sold ourselves out to the civil rights movement. But
Mm.
a lot of people that's older are saying that, like, no, like it wasn't really that bad back then. However, the winner get to write the history books and the Democratic Party is the winners. So they're just showing us images of, oh, this is what happened to black people. And as it shows black people getting sprayed with water hose, black people being chased by dogs and beaten by police officers. And that was like a really, really small minority of what actually was going on around the country.
Well, I think it's like anything, right? Like media takes anything and pumps it up. I mean, it's same thing as today. You know what I'm saying? Like me and you might not be getting in any trouble right now, but there are millions of black people that are getting in trouble as we speak right now, right? It might not be the majority, but there still is a group of people. And I think the message is that it could have happened to you. Not if it did or not, but it could happen to you. Because do you really want to still live in a place where it could happen to you? Or do you want to live in a place where it wouldn't happen to you? Even if it didn't happen to you, the thought of it happening to you, because it's interesting you say that, because for me that's not the case. All the older black people I know, they went through things like some life-changing things, like people getting their sister fed to alligators and stuff. So for me, in my perspective, it wasn't that. I just didn't see it like that. Even people in my family, like what they saw was what these people talk about. You know what I'm saying?
The winners get to write the history books, right? So when it comes to even modern time, I believe what we just experienced the summer of 2020, right? Black Lives Matter, peaceful protests all around the country, like, and we know we lived through it. It was not peaceful. They
Of
was
course not.
literally burning down the country. They was literally conquering cities, not too far from where you was born in Seattle, or Portland, somewhere up there. They
Yeah.
like literally conquered like a whole town, a whole city, and the white power structure told the police to stand down and let BLM and Antifa have their way. And we literally witnessed. I'm not far from Philly, and
Mm.
Philly was being destroyed. They was robbing, looting, raping, killing, stealing. It was this complete anarchy in majority of the cities all around the country.
Was it anarchy? Was it really anarchy?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not anarchy.
They
America still
literally,
they play. Look, America has everything under control. It's not going to be anarchy. Let's not get crazy here. You know what I'm saying?
um, it wasn't permanent anarchy, but they literally told the cops to stand down throughout the BLM Antifa riots. Think about it. Kyle Rittenhouse, you know Kyle Rittenhouse, right?
No, I don't.
The in Wisconsin, I believe he was the white boy. He had like an AR-15,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
he was being like chased down, and then he shot somebody, whatever the case may be, right? People say that's white privilege, but no, it was based off of the time period that he did it in during the BLM riots, where the police was told to stand down. Based off of that, the state he was in, I don't think the cops really seen it as a big deal that he had a firearm, because that's a like open carry state or whatever the case. So a lot of people had guns that night.
Right.
But the police was told to stand down. So yeah, he shot about 3 people that was trying to attack him. And the reason he wasn't arrested that night, it wasn't because of racism. It was because the cops was told to let people rob, kill, steal, rape, whatever you want to do. We not touching nobody because we don't want another George Floyd incident. The cops was like, our hands are off. We do not want another George Floyd to happen right now.
Well, you got to think about it too. This is everything is strategic. Like, ain't nobody dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is the problem. Like, I feel like, okay, what we see, obviously, we know what we see on media or with anybody. You just never know if it's real or if it's not real, because strategically, if you said, and I'm not defending anybody, I'm just saying, like, this is the problem that people have with me, is because I'm like looking overhead at the chessboard, and I'm like, yeah, that was a move right there. Oh, that was a move. Okay, yeah. And then people are bickering about these moves as if that was something that was just like, man, they're crazy. They did this. Like, let's be real here. Like, if there was ever a rise against America, if they really seize these cities, because when you say seized, you gotta be careful. When you say seized, I'm talking about they actually control it, and we know they don't, right? It was just people
I
rioting
mean, you
and
heard of
breaking some.
Chaz Chop. You heard of that Chaz Chop area, right? And I
Yeah,
think that they literally took that over.
but did they? Like to me, taking over is like, yo, no one's coming. Okay. You're right. In some sense, you're right. They took it over for a certain time period, right? But even if they took it over for a certain time period, it's America. Did they really take it over? No. Let's be real here. If the government want to come through and be like, okay, you guys are playing right now. It's fun and games, but we're here. The army's here. Like it's over, right? I mean,
But
if they really wanted to do that, but obviously you
but
have. I'm sorry.
but but to get back to my point, right? Like, and I view what we just witnessed similar, not the same, but very similar to what happened with the civil rights, where it was over exaggerated. Like was racism really going that wild and everybody was suffering and it was the George Floyd incident that really like gave a true message, and then it's just like, okay, what happened at January 6th at the Capitol Hill, they say is white privilege.
Mhm.
That was literally like a bunch of white people taking selfies that lasted 2 hours.
But
And
then would
that's
they?
considered the attack on America.
But
But
would
the
they
whole
say
summer of 2020 is completely ignored. Like, oh,
no,
that
no,
wasn't
no?
that bad.
It's but hold on, but wait. But you when you're talking about going to the capital of any country, that yeah, I don't care if you're in there taking selfies. That is a act of that's a big act. Like when you say seize, somebody seizing the city, okay, cool. But like if you play any war games, you can seize as many cities as you want. But until you seize that capital, most people ain't thinking it's over, right? So the simple fact that if there was anybody, forget just black people, but if there was Asian people, Indian people that went in there and did the same thing, do you really think the outcome would have been the same? Probably not. Let's be real here. When a group of people run a country, because they do, and that's just the realism of it. When a group of people run a country, there are privileges that they get. The same way if you was in a black country that was a civilized black country, you would probably get the same privilege as a black person too. They're not going to.
BLM and Antifa was burning down federal buildings. They was burning down police precincts and they was burning down courthouses as well. I would say they actually came close, even though neither side really came close. But
Of
I would
course.
say the summer of BLM, they actually came closer to overturning the government than the white people at the Capitol Hill came.
I disagree because if you say what is it seizing a city or two in America, what does that do? That's nothing. That's nothing. America's powerful. That's nothing. Like seizing one city or four cities or three cities
But they didn't even come
temporarily.
close at the Capitol Hill. They did Nobody had any weapons or anything. They didn't even come close to conquering the
But
Capitol.
but okay, but hold on. Okay, first of all, let's stay on even ground here, right? Whether it's black or white, of course, when there's a set of rules in any country about storming a business or storming Capitol
Mhm.
Hill, people believe you should follow it. I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying that's what it's a law, so people think you should follow it. If you go into a building and do something bad, and then you go into Capitol Hill and do something bad, and you're literally going up Capitol Hill and you're forcing your way, why did I not see on the news that that was called terrorism? Why did I not see that that was called seizing the Capitol? Why is it looked at as being like you guys literally let them come in the White House? You know how weak it made you look as America, first of all, but also it lets you know that there's games that are being played. It's not about the physical structure. It's about the actual laws and trust and land trust and people that are in power. And look, you can take over the White House. They're just going to move the person in power underground somewhere, and then they're going to still be in power. Like, so I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that, look, this is what running a country is. Running a country ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? Yo, me and you have never run a country. Go try to run a country. You got to keep a lot of different groups happy. You got to keep the underworld happy. You got to keep the regular citizens happy. And let me tell you this: sometimes the citizens get fed up. And when the citizens get fed up in any country, they're going to do the same thing. This is not something new. Like this happened since the beginning of human existence. This is not anything. That's why when I saw it, I'm just like, yeah, it seemed about right. People sick and fed up of these things happening. You know what I'm saying?
But to be fair, at the Capitol Hill, they wasn't prepared for that. They didn't even have the power enough. They didn't have enough officers to really stop the people from invading the Capitol Hill. They were so outnumbered.
But that also lets you
So
know the power of the people, because it's like at the end of the day, it all goes down to conquer and divide and making people feel a certain way, think differently. have different beliefs, because if every 380 million humans in America, or whatever it is, odd number, if half of them was like, yo, we want to take over the government or whatever, and we want to make a change, like physically, they could definitely do it easily, you know.
Okay.
But that's with any government in the world, you know what I'm saying? That's with any government in the world. That's just the truth.
Before we move on, I want to make one more statement about the Capitol Hill. Okay, and I think it would have been viewed differently if the races was reversed. Ashley Babbitt was an unarmed, 5 foot tall, 100-pound white woman. She was the only one that was shot and killed at the Capitol Hill. She was on, of course, she breaking the law. And you know, black people break the law and they get shot sometimes too.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna keep it on level ground, she broke the law.
She was breaking the law. Just because you break the law, that doesn't give the police the right to kill you.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just saying, the police shouldn't have the right to kill any citizen, regardless of what color you are, right? Like, I'm just saying that if you're gonna keep it on the level ground, like, nah, they shouldn't have killed her. Like, they shouldn't have killed her. But also, there's always checks and balances. You know what I'm saying? As sucky as that is to say, I'm just saying that's realism, is that there's always checks and balances. So I'm not saying I don't have remorse for the girl. I'm not saying I do have remorse for her. I'm just saying that, yo, like, I can't pick sides when it comes to people that are doing things that they know they could get their life taken for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you're doing things that your life could get took, and you gotta know the cost. You know, you willing to pay that cost.
What is white privilege, and does it exist?
I think there's privileges with every race. Every race have privileges. It just depends where you at, what time, who you're around, what's the majority. We have privileges.
Who has more freedom of speech in America, white people or black people?
Really nobody, if you're talking too far to the left. But I would say definitely not black people. I know that. Just being honest.
Okay, I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of the Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, who hasn't?
Okay, so they're allowed, you know, and I'm from Philadelphia, and they go literally right to City Hall where everybody is. White man's the devil. The white man is a homosexual. The black man is God. All of this other stuff. I might be getting some of their rhetoric mixed up with the Nation of Islam, but
right.
Basically, like, yeah, they're openly racist against white people in public. There's no way that a group of Aryan Nation or white skinheads could go to Center City, Philadelphia, in today's time and start arguing about how the white man is God and how the black man is the devil.
But like I said, it has to do with time period and has to do with city you're in. Like, every city's not going to be the same. Every time period's not the same. Maybe it's the time right now in Philly that they can do it because Philly is a very black, predominantly inner city versus somewhere in Idaho or Oklahoma or so, you know what I mean? So I can't say that it doesn't happen, because it does happen.
Right now, I could start a YouTube channel called I Hate White People. It would be fine. If I was white,
would it be fine? Would it really be fine?
They wouldn't take it down. But if I was white and I had the YouTube channel that was called I Hate Black People, it would be taken down. Now, probably.
But let me ask you a question: how many, and throughout history of just anything on the internet, how many times the average black person that would ever make a channel say I hate all white people? It's very rare. Of course they would. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying what you're even saying is wrong, because I understand the rhetoric and the media and like the tide of how it's changing, whatever. But all I'm saying is that how many black people would even waste their time and go on the internet and be like, I'm making a YouTube channel that's like, I hate all white people. That's not even really a black people thing to even
Well, here's the thing. You know, Dr. Umar, and people of that, the black conscious movement people, right? They're allowed to say a lot of stuff. Charlemagne the God is openly racist against white people. There's no way that a white person could get on air and not be completely destroyed if they, like Richard Spencer. You ever heard of Richard Spencer?
No, I haven't.
He's the white version of Dr. Umar.
Oh, got you.
They shut him down. They make sure he can't speak at any colleges. because he's just the opposite of what Dr. Umar. He's about white pride and we got to build the white man up, and not necessarily preaching direct hatred towards black people.
Nah,
But
he just love his people,
right,
and he's pumping them up.
but it's like he's shut down and he's not allowed to speak with freedom. I mean, it literally is literally the First Amendment is under attack. Look at what happened to the rapper DaBaby for saying something about the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
But not that we're talking about that right now, but there is more freedom of speech for African descent people in America than it is for white people. White people could literally get fired on their day off if they get caught on camera saying all lives matter.
Well, okay. I'm not even saying you're even wrong 100% about that. I don't agree 100%, but I'm not even saying you're wrong 100%. I just think that, like we were talking about how the media panders, look, at the end of the day, whatever, like, you can say, run up and down, scream all you want. I don't care if you're in a country that will cut off your head. If you say what you want, I don't care if you're in a country that supposedly has free speech. If you say what you want, you can say what you want, but there's always going to be ramifications of what you say, first of all, right? So, like, you might get your head cut off in this country. You might, even in America, depending on where you at. You got to be careful about what you say where you at in America. It's not like everybody's just like, oh, yeah, we have freedom. Nah, like, you can't say everything in America. Let's be real here, depending on where you at. But I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that don't nobody care for real, because people are making money. So if they're in the background and they still own this land and they still own this network, they really don't care. They're like, yo, yeah, let them scream, because they feel like they have freedom of speech. And by the time that they realize that they should be really fighting for the rights of owning things or land or whatever, they'll be on to the next thing. And then when you get on to owning land and owning this and that, and you're like, dang, us just screaming all the time ain't really doing nothing. Like, they had freedom of speech 200 years ago. We're just getting freedom of speech to some people. I'm just saying, what I'm saying, that are black. Then it's like, it's the action. I don't care if somebody's running their mouth all day, every day. It might irritate me, but like, what's the action? Are you coming to punch me? Because you could be on the other block over there, rah, 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 because I've seen it. It's happened, talking all every day, but you're not going to do nothing. So does it really affect you that much? Not really, because at the end of the day, they're still getting money. You know what I'm saying?
What is white supremacy?
Great question. I don't even know. I would say, to put it in a nutshell, is just when one race tries to conquer the whole world. That's what white supremacy is to me.
Yeah, I don't like calling white people white supremacy. I mean, because I don't feel that white people are superior to me.
That's interesting. No, I mean, actually, I don't even use the word white supremacist at all, to be honest with you. A lot of times, I mean, I can't remember the last time until just now that I even said that word, or those two words. But yeah, I don't feel like they're above me either, but some people do, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, now when you're talking about somebody just being hatred, like somebody that hates somebody else because of the way they look or their culture, yeah, I understand that. But white supremacy to me is basically the Europeans trying to conquer the whole world. That's what white supremacy is to me.
Do you have a problem with white people if they was to wear a shirt that says white fathers matter?
Nah, because they white. I mean, why would I be mad at this? That's their culture. If they said like Irish
would,
fathers matter, Italian fathers
would,
matter, like, I don't
would you
even
have a
care.
problem if white people wear t-shirts that says white power?
If they're coming to attack me, yeah, because that's war.
Well, I don't care if
But
they wearing a shirt that says black power and they coming to attack me, that
I
same
mean,
thing.
whatever. I'm just saying whatever you feel comfortable with. I don't
Right.
get uncomfortable when I see somebody wearing black power because I'm black. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, but nah. I mean, look, it's all about context at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And the reason that people get mad at people is because of the context of what people do. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily the way that they. It's not what you do. It's how you do it, and it's always been
Right.
that way.
Why is black people so loyal to the Democratic Party?
I think because the Democratic Party, I'm not saying this is what they are doing. I'm just saying what their consensus is of what they're trying to say to black people, or not even black people, but well, yeah, black people, because they always pander to them, but also just in the grand scheme of things, their philosophy of helping everyone. I think that is one of the reasons that the black community sort of went that way, because yeah, there's a time where you needed help. And naturally, you might go that way. Can you really go to the conservative side when they're like, everybody do for yourself, but you can't even do for yourself? Are you really going to go that way? I'm just saying, like, from just a universal like standpoint, you're going to go where the current is easier flowing. Most people.
Do for yourself concept. They must have not listened to enough Dame Dash.
Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Probably not.
So what's wrong with Black people in the inner cities that they want to kill each other? You know, and I know that it's not all Black people, but
Of course.
why is violence such a problem inside of most of the inner cities amongst Black on Black?
I mean, I think that it's one of those things where it's eat or be eaten. And if you're in an environment where most other people are not in that environment, you're going to act that way. That's just not just Black people in America. That's any slums or ghetto in the whole world, in any race.
Do you
Because I
think
could
that
I could point out the same thing in India, where
Mhm.
Indians are killing each other. You know what I'm saying?
I think the Democratic Party contribute to a lot of the violence inside of the inner cities um, when they basically create laws that's pro-criminal. When you think about gun control, it's pro-criminal. The more restrictions they put on guns, that only affects law-abiding citizens. It doesn't affect the criminals. And then Pookie killed Ray Ray. He might get 3 years in probation.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. So yeah, that's actually an interesting question. Okay, so let's say it like this, right? Because I know that a lot of conservatives love their guns, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they love, and I mean, look, I'm not even mad. Like, yo, protect yourself. I agree with it. Like, I'm not even saying that that's wrong. But let's be real here. This is an American thing. This has nothing to do with conservative or Democrat. It doesn't. This is the history of America. Like, America's a violent country. It always has been. Hopefully, it doesn't stay that way, but it always has been.
The
So I
world
don't
is
think,
violent.
to some extent, yeah. But I'm from a country to country. There's way less violent countries than America. Way
Mhm.
less. And America's a very rich country, right? So technically, those two, to a normal person, they don't think those two should correlate, but they do. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? When you put too much greed, too much money, yeah, people want to get what they want to get. But I said that to say this is that if you look at countries that have low crime rates, right, that obviously the population in a lot of these countries are way lower. So it's not as easy as just saying like, oh, comparing them. But if you talk about like Norway or Sweden or even Canada right next to us, right? Maybe, I don't know, Canada has like 60 million, 70, 90 million, I don't know. But their gun laws are way stricter. And I'm not saying that I think that our guns should be taken away, but I'm just saying that if they're not even there to begin with, then what they going to do to each other? They going to fight each other? They're going to,
Well,
I mean,
a lot of countries got a lot of stabbing problems. I know, like in Europe and stuff like that, like knives are a real problem out there.
true, 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 true. But you can get away from a knife sometimes. You not always get away from a gun, depending on what the distance is, you know.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that we should have to have permits to carry a firearm?
Hmm. I'm glad you said that because that goes, like you said, the amendment and your right to bear arms and carry a gun. Like, wow, that's an interesting question. You know what? I think that there should be regulations. I'm not saying that a person can't just switch up because a person can be good all their life and be like, look, I'm gonna be good just so I can get these guns and then I'm gonna wild out. So I don't even think that, I think that's one of the steps. But I do think that there should maybe be permits to get guns. Maybe. Or
What
maybe let's just not, it's a slippery slope in America. You can't say let's not have guns because most people would like, nah, this is my right, you know.
How much do you care about the American Constitution?
Um, I care about it from a trust standpoint because it's a trust, you know. And from that's really about as far as I care about it, you know.
Who do you think care more about the Constitution, Democrats or Republicans?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I really don't know. I probably would say maybe Republicans.
I would say so too. Now, when it comes to gun control, shall not be infringed. I believe in that.
I love how
These
you just got real serious with me, like when you just looked at me like that. You're like, I believe in it. I'm like, you know what? I do too now. You know, like.
So okay, so when we think about the inner city gun control, okay, the Democrats I feel are horrible for the Black community, because the Democrats are the ones, and you could agree, they're the ones that want to put restrictions on your gun rights, correct? On top of that,
Yeah.
they're the same party that want to defund the police. So they want to take your right away to bear arms and defund the police.
Well, that's why I said this goes back down to original American culture and country problem. There's a root that we're not getting to. I don't even know if we can ever get to that root. That's why I think that a lot of Republicans and Democrats, I think it's a lot of the show. You know what I'm saying? They're giving everybody the show, because in all reality, if you're really intelligent and smart, you know that none of this will ever change.
What is your opinion on vaccine mandates?
That's a great question. Yeah. I just don't believe that anybody should be forced to do anything that they don't want. I get it from like a country standpoint. People are like, hey, everybody should do this, should do that. But when does it become a dictatorship when you're telling everybody they got to do something? Like, isn't that a dictatorship? I didn't know America was a dictatorship, but I guess maybe it is,
Whatever happened to my body, my choice?
I agree.
And it's like, okay, if you believe the vaccine work, why do you care if I have it? That's kind of how
very, very true. But also I want to say too on that is that if you care about if somebody's vaccinated, okay, why aren't you putting regulations and restrictions on the quality of food that people in America, and the obesity and the real problem with people actually drinking big gulps that are this big? Why don't you go back there and start from the root of people's problem,
right?
Not being healthier as a citizen from out the jump.
Yeah.
Versus see, that's the problem I have with capitalism, because capitalism's like, forget your health, let's get this money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we should encourage healthier diets for people in the country. Now, yeah, and that's what I believe in. And I also, you're a pro-Black guy, so I'm sure you know the statistics that
am I?
Abortion affects majority Black women. They're the main ones to participate in the abortion. And on top of that, we complain about being a minority. But what do you think about places like Texas that basically, pretty much banned any abortion after 6 weeks or a heartbeat?
Well, I would say it's the South. So what did you expect? I mean, it's the Southwest. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I really wouldn't even expect anything else. But
is abortion, what is your opinion on abortion?
You know what? I really don't have an opinion, because I ain't got no kids, and I'm be honest with you, like, I have no kids, and I never even had a scare or anything of having kids. So my opinion might not even be valid, even if I gave it.
Right. Now, who do you think is more racist? The white liberal man that encouraged Black women to get an abortion, or the Christian conservative man that encouraged Black women to keep their babies?
Both, because on one side, you're not in an economical standpoint to even have more kids. Let's just be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other side, I don't always feel like you should kill a life either. So I think both. I think they need to sort of kind of stay in their lane and not talk about anything. But of course, they're going to talk about it because it's another person in their country. So,
So do you think, based off of that, since most Black people vote Democrat, we don't have no right to complain about us being a minority?
Nah, you always have a right to complain. Any human being has a right to complain.
I mean, we can, but it's not valid to me. If we support abortion and it's majority affecting Black people, why do we care about being a minority? If we didn't kill our babies, I think how many Black babies get, I should have did the statistics, but you know how many Black babies are aborted every year?
I don't, but probably a lot.
And I'm not even bringing up white babies, Indian babies, or none of that, just Black alone.
Yeah, probably a lot.
Enough to make us the majority.
Yeah, but what would that do? Just because you're majority doesn't mean you're gonna have power.
Well, I understand that.
It can make problems even worse.
It can, but like I said, I think abortion is wrong from a biblical standpoint, and I'm a Christian.
Oh, got you.
So I don't necessarily support it, and I know that it's the white liberals that smile in your face that act like they're your friend that want to do this. And I believe it's all about, I believe the LGBTQ community is also a push on population control on the Black community as well, to take the father out of the home because masculinity is under attack. So they don't want young boys to be raised masculine. They want our women to be more masculine. And that's why Black women got this, I'm a strong Black woman concept. I don't need a man concept. I don't know any other culture. I never heard a Chinese woman talk about she don't need a man. I never heard an East Indian woman talk about she don't need a man. I never heard the white woman talk about I don't need a man. The only person I hear say that is the Black woman.
Well, doesn't that come back down to the root of whatever the problem is? Like that's I think what it is to me personally is that we run around, not me and you, but just everybody in general, even maybe me and you, we run around these questions that are modern day, but nobody really wants to go back to the root and really heal the bruise. They want to look at the outside of the bruise, like this bruise is red over here. Oh, it's purple over here. It's purple. How did the bruise happen?
Well, the root, I mean, the thing is, we can fix our own problem. The problem I have with Black people is
can we fix our own problems? We don't even know what our problems are. We don't even know what our problems are. We don't even know what our problems are.
We're raised, we have a culture problem because we don't have any structure in our homes for the most part. And I know it ain't all Black people, but if we fix the foundation of the home, we'll be better off as Black people. And no white man legislation can change Black people culturally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's like any culture. Like I have mad Asian friends, right? And I have Asian friends where there's a certain, like guideline of culture, and some people go out of it, like every culture, right? Everybody's not going to stay in it, but majority of people, they follow it, they do this, and they pass it along to their kids, right? You could say it's a double-edged sword with us, because on one side, the negative is all this other stuff, but the positive side, which I don't even know is positive side, but the positive money side is that when you're talking about music, dance, like coolness, that comes out of like, usually the coolest people come out of the most effed up situations. I know that's bad to say, but usually that's how it goes in every culture, right? Like the one person that had to go through the grime and the grit and stuff, that's the person that wants it the most, or is the most grimy, would do things that other people might not do, right? Like usually that's usually how it goes. I'm saying that to say this is that, yeah, like the whole rhetoric about Black people having everything they need to have to fix it, that don't mean nothing. I hate when Black people say, hey, we got everything. What's wrong with us? We got everything. Obviously, there's something wrong, because just because you sit up here and say that we have everything to fix it, it's not getting fixed. So that even becomes a problem. That even becomes a problem. You know what I'm saying?
In my opinion, we spend too much time waiting for these politicians to fix our problem. It's always what they need to be doing. They, and they took this out of the school. They took the trade programs out of the school. They're not fixing our schools. They're not fixing the roads.
What do you do? That is a community that doesn't have a, like, it's broken, it's shattered. Of course, the Amish people in Ohio are not going to go to ask the government for anything, even though supposedly they still pay taxes, but they're not going to go ask the government for anything because their community was never shattered and broken. So you're looking at a shattered and broken community, maybe not me and you, but a lot of people that are shattered and broken. And to even ask majority of people that are not educated on economics and the importance of giving to your own community without getting anything back, even though you're going to get something back because you're part of that community, but they don't see it that way. And so when you have all these shatters and cracks in your community, this is what happens. You become dependent on somebody else because you can't go back to your community. You know what I'm saying? Because your community, you never know what you're going to get. You talk to every other man, it's a different story. It's a different belief. It's a different whatever, you know?
Well, with Black people is more so about what they should be doing for us versus what we need to be doing for ourselves.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And think about it. How many times have the great white man came to the Black community and fixed the projects up, rebuilt them and made them nice, and then they got graffiti and bubble gum all on the ground the very next week? It's shot up, destroyed. It's like the white man come and fix up the neighborhood, and then we sit there and destroy it ourselves.
Of course, because we don't see value. That's what I'm saying earlier, is that you have to see value in yourself. If you don't even know who you are and you don't have value, of course you're going to treat anything like that.
Anything that comes for free. And that's why we need to get rid of the welfare state.
I don't agree with anything that comes for free. I don't even think it's about free or not free. I think it's the mind state of who you are. What do you respect? What are your values? If you don't grow up in a home that has those values, which unfortunately there's a lot of Black homes that don't have that value, or they have broken homes. Like, let me be honest with you. Every community in the whole world, and I say this because I think that there's too much shit being pushed on the Black community that really does not deserve to be. Like, this happens everywhere in poverty areas all around the world. It's just not Black people. It really is just not Black people. But I said that to say this, is that there's a certain type of environment and there's a certain structure that if any part of that structure gets shattered, it's a high chance that a human being can turn out this way. And in America, you could say it's the Black community. In Asia, it's probably the Indian community. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying that there's this is not something that's just unique to Black people in America. Like in Eastern Europe, there's a lot of white people in the hood, in the ghettos, and the same thing that Black people are doing here, that's the same thing happening with them. They're depending on government. They're doing this, they're doing that. So as much as I'm a worldly person and I've been a lot of places, and I'm telling you, like, it's just not America. It's just not America, you know.
Is feminism a good thing for the Black community?
I personally don't think that feminism in the American standpoint of what feminism means is good for the Black community. Like the way I felt like it was so kind of like pushed on to Black women, like after the 70s and 80s, like it was really like a highly pushed on thing. No, I don't. But feminism, as far as like the equality, because I feel like majority of Black societies from ancient times to now, there was always the equality between women and men in the sense of the distribution of work. Like if a man went to hunt and did politics stuff in some societies, there were some women that did it too. The women would gather the fruits and vegetables with the kids. It wasn't like a woman was just laying around every day like a princess, like, go do this, like it's sort of how it is now. Like, you got to do this, you got to make this amount of money, you got to do this, or you're not a real man. No, it wasn't that. But obviously, when you start to impose other cultures on your culture, or other cultures impose their culture on your culture, then what do you think you're going to get? Like, that's the state of Black people in America. Like, look, we speak English, for God's sake. Like, me and you are speaking English. That is not our original language. You know what I'm saying?
Do you agree and I heard Black women say this, that Black women are the most unprotected people in the United States? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
I disagree completely. You ever been to family court?
I thought you were just talking about women. Talking
No,
about men too?
when it comes to Black women, that they're the most unprotected. I think, I think Black women are some of the most protected women.
But you're talking about you're adding men into the equation, right?
Yeah, when it comes to people in general, I think that Black women are actually the most protected women in the country.
No, I disagree. I think that when it comes to Black men and Black women, yeah, Black women are more protected than Black men, of course. But when it comes to the rest of the women, Black women are not protected, because let's be real here. Like, as sad as this is to say this, and I even hate saying it myself, and it's true to some extent, like, who really wants to marry a Black woman or even a Black man? Because there's a lot of cultures in the world that I would say the majority that they'll look at us and they'll be like, look, they're not worth it. They don't even know who they are. They don't even have their own language. They're look how willy-nilly their community is. There's no checks and balances, but also they want to be us too. You know what I'm saying? So I disagree. I think that Black women are Black man first, then Black women after that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Black women are like, of course, there's still a woman. Like, at the end of the day, there's still a woman. And a woman can finagle her way through a man if she's beautiful, regardless of what color she is. So when it comes to Black men, yeah, Black women are under when it comes to how like violated, because they still can have a place in society because they're beautiful and they can have kids and bear kids. If you're a straight man, you're a threat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's just the truth. You know,
it's definitely a war right now, and a culture war against masculinity on men in general, white and Black men. They don't want they protect the homosexuals, and they hate straight. We're growing in a society that hate straight masculine men.
What's up? It's America. What's up? What's up, yo? What's up, yo? Welcome to America, yo. Welcome to America. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now, all right. Let me get this out. Name your top 3 greatest men of all time, dead or alive.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Somebody, like, people that really contribute to have an impact in your life?
I never really thought about men. Like I maybe things and events, but maybe not men. I'm gonna have to pass on that question. I really don't know. I really don't know.
I thought you was gonna say LeBron James.
Yo, come on, man. You know I'm from Ohio. Don't play me, man. Don't play LeBron like that.
You know, I asked a lot of people that. That's always a question I bring up. A lot of people say their father or something like that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
probably the men in my family. But
right,
I'm just saying I never thought about it like top three. Like I never thought about it like that.
right. I understand that. Okay, and anyway, yo, it was awesome that you joined me today.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it,
And
man. I
and you
appreciate
didn't
it.
know what to expect because you probably didn't know that. See, I don't know. Do I sound like a coon, Uncle Tom? I don't know.
No. I look. I for real. I accept everybody that wants to
Right,
have a conversation. You know what I'm saying, regardless
right,
of who they are. Because look, you know, at the end of the day, we all speak in English. So yo,
right.
that's not your original language. So we all sounded like coons if we speak in English. You know?
So at the end of the day, it's like you know, I consider myself a black conservative, which I know is not. We're not supposed to do that as black people.
Yeah. I know black conservatives. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I mean, look, hey, like I said, like people hate me because I'm in the middle. So I think I'm actually more hated. I'm more hated than you are. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So anyway, what platforms can people find you on? And like, yo, just tell people how they can find you. What's your YouTube channel? Say it.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is Afic Network, spelled AFRIC Network. I encompass the whole African culture on there. Of course, like I said, it's for everybody. It's not just for people of African descent, because the only way you can change the world is if everybody learns. You know what I'm saying? And everybody just understands each other. Communication is very important.
Right.
So yeah, my YouTube's Afic Network. I do assortment of things. Actually, I'm trying to break out the mold because you think you're conservative, but me doing new things on my channel that some black people think are not black things, that's even harder than what you're going through. So I'm gonna be introducing a lot of things to the channel, you know.
Yeah. And one more thing I meant to
Oh
say
no,
it
of
earlier
course.
in our conversation when I was talking about what is black culture. I meant to say, like, people always tell me, oh, you don't care about the culture and this and that. Okay, that's fine. But I will say this. You're one of the black men I know that actually care about the culture,
Yeah.
because you're somebody that actually do research on black history throughout the world and
Okay.
black culture throughout the world. A lot of black people that say they're for the culture, they're not doing anything. They say our culture was stolen. They're not doing anything to actually track down their original culture. But you're somebody I can't say that about.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad I'm not on your bad list. You know, like that means I need to make more food videos and more
Oh,
history videos. You know.
we're way over an hour anyway. One more thing. I
Nah,
keep
brother,
saying
you
one
got
more
me.
thing.
You got me as long
Okay.
as you want, brother. You got me as long as you want. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So when it comes to what was I gonna ask you? Like when it comes to like black culture, right?
Mhm.
It is such a thing that we need to acknowledge, and we all really should do more research to find out where we come from, and we need to focus more on like world history throughout all African history throughout the world, and not just focus on what happened here in America.
Yeah, because I think that, you know, I'm not saying that what happened in America isn't significant, because it is, but it's also not it's also not it shouldn't be the beacon of our
Mhm.
history. You know what I'm saying? It should be every time period in every land, you should understand that. You know what I'm saying? That's people's biggest problems, because they'll talk about ancient Egypt or ancient Ghana,
Mhm.
but they'll talk about it like it's 2021. I'm like, yo,
Right.
that was 900 years ago. So you have to like understand the whole world. You know, when it was the year 1100, like you have like the whole world was different.
Right.
So no, I agree with you. I think, like I said earlier, I think being more worldly people and understanding that, like, and I really want to make this a clear thing, is that when you're a worldly black person, like, you're not
Right.
confined to just America. America is not the end all be all. It's one country in this whole world. And there's a lot of different people with a lot of different thought processes and a lot of different women and men. And the
Uh-huh.
way that you think might seem alien in one country, but you go to another country and you might be the king. That's all I'm
Right.
saying. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And what is a race hustler?
race hustler. I mean, I think somebody that really just doesn't care and they're really using their race to get to the top, which there's a lot of them in every race, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. Here's the thing. All right. Here's an example of, for me, Patrice Colors, she's one of the BLM people, right?
Mm-hmm.
She hustled so much money and bought property all around the country off of Michael Brown death, George Floyd death, Breonna Taylor death. She profited so much money, and she didn't build not one institution for Black people, not one rec center, nothing. She literally collected the money, and that was it. And she did nothing for Black people. And that's what I view as a race hustler.
Well, I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Umar, although I don't agree with his philosophy, I can't consider him a race hustler. Even though I disagree with him, that man actually raised money to actually buy a school, to help Black children. So I don't consider him a race hustler, even though I don't agree with what he stands for. I don't see him as somebody that's pimping the Black people out of their money.
Well, see, I don't. You know, it's hard. This is a hard situation because I try to stay out of other people's business. You know what I'm saying? And try to stay in my own business. Which, when you're part of a community, some people would say like, "Yo, if you're part of a community, staying out of other people's business, that's not going to cut it. You got to."
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do it as long as I can. The bigger I get, I don't know how much more longer I can actually stay out of people's business, and people will put me on it. But I'll say it like this: at the end of the day, first of all, most people do not understand business. They don't understand how long it takes to do stuff. They don't understand that there's really wars. Like forget race at this point. Yeah. Well, not forget it, but sort of forget it. When you go into different markets, like land and like in properties, man, there's a whole nother war there. There's people that will never let certain properties go that you want to buy, and they're like, "Nah, I'm saving it for my great grandkid." Like, so is it like
that'll just have the Me Too movement get you out of there.
You know what? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that the common person doesn't understand how long it takes to do business. They don't understand like all the paperwork, and they don't understand all, because most people are not business people, because if they was, they'd be running their own businesses, right? Like most people are not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that to protect the chick. I don't even know who she is. Look, you guys are mad at me because I don't even keep up with half these people. I'm just on my own mission.
Okay, not her. Them was just examples that I use, but the question is, what is a race hustler? What you basically said is somebody that pimp Black people out of the money, right?
Yeah, but any race. There's race hustlers in every race. There's white race hustlers, there's Asian race hustlers.
Who is a race hustler?
Name
a race hustler.
I don't really even know. You know what I'm saying?
Is Al Sharpton a race hustler?
I would say a lot of people would say, yeah, he is.
Is Joe Biden a race hustler?
That's an interesting one. Like for Black people, because he does like pump up Black. I mean, he tries to like say, "Oh, I'm gonna help the Black community with this or poverty or whatever." I don't even know for real. Like, I just really don't know. You just never know. I could sit up here and say blindly, like,
he used racism. He used racism to get into the White House. If it wasn't for racism, he used racism to his advantage.
So you would consider that a race hustler?
Yeah. He hustled up a lot of money for his campaign through the struggle of Black people, and he used Black people, and he used Cardi B and Charlamagne the God to help him get in there.
But isn't that business?
Yeah, race hustling. That's what is business.
Exactly. That's why I'm just saying that I feel like we need to understand business more and like trust.
One more question. I promise this is the last one. Is Kamala Harris a slut?
No comment, man. No comment. I don't even know the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they be so outside of my view. Like I don't even pay attention.
Is Hillary Clinton a Jezebel?
It reminds me of like back on you know, they download music and Bill Clinton used to pop up all the time at one point. Like I did not have sexual relations. It reminds me of that. You know what? Maybe, I don't know. I really don't care if she is or she ain't, but yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
that was awesome, man. But yo, say it one more time where we can find you. One more time.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is Afic Network. I talk about basically, it's a cultural channel for people of African descent. Everybody's invited, you know what I'm saying? Especially Black people, African people around the world. And yeah, I'm just trying to do my contribution to the community. I'm not saying that I'm, you know, like Malcolm X or anything, or the next, you know, whatever leader, because I really don't even believe in it. I think that we should all do the work. And yeah, if the leaders rise to the top, they do, but there has to be a strong foundation behind the leaders too, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna send this video to you, and I'm gonna put a link in the description box to your YouTube channel when I upload it. And yo, that's it, man. It's a wrap. Yo, I want to have you back on, you know, later on down the line one day. And
Definitely.
I appreciate you joining me, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was dope. I really appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man of understanding different views. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have to, you say you're a Black conservative, but to me, like, I don't have no problem with that, because look, I'm conservative.
I don't seem too radical, right?
Nah, but even if you, but there are, look, okay, I'm not really a radical person, but I'm also not as chill as what people think I am. I'm just right in the middle. There's some things I can be radical on. And, you know, my thing with people that are radical are just people, well, I'm getting a Charlie horse. Sorry, I got to stand up for a second.
Yeah, it's all good.
But all I'm trying to say is that, like, you know, you do have to just sort of kind of be careful about what you put out to the world, because the world will use it against you.
Absolutely,
so that's why
man.
I'm very yeah, that's why I'm very
people get in trouble for stuff they said 20 years ago, man. Look at what happened to Kevin Hart. He had to apologize for a joke he made like 15 years ago about that, you know. But
exactly. And
anyway,
I mean, it doesn't mean that you know, it depends on what you want. Look, at the end of the day, everybody has a choice to just leave this whole society and just go off and do whatever the hell they want. So like, it's up to you. Do you care about the $60 million mansion so much, or do you care about your opinion? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's you, you know, it's you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, yeah, we covered the bunch here, man. I'm gonna get off of this, man. I appreciate you joining me, man. We'll talk off air or something.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you having me.
Peace.